Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 14th of June, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of The Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Engel, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a big show for you guys today, but before we get to the meat and potatoes, we got some programming notes up top. For those of you who exclusively tune into The Coping Hour for our programming notes, this one goes out to you. Well, first of all, a funny note about tonight's episode. I forgot it was, I'm recording this Thursday night. I forgot that tomorrow was Friday. And so I was like, oh, shoot. Well, I have a super busy day. And so I'm like, I just don't want to do the 2 hours of having to record and edit the show and publish it, everything. That whole rigmarole in the morning, it's like, I got shit to do. I just don't have 2 hours that I can, So I was like, well, fuck. Okay, I got to just do this now. So I just hit record. It sucks because usually, when we go into an episode without a plan, that's not funny to me anymore. That shit's not cute. Like 3 years ago, that shit was like my bread and butter, was just improvising on the fly. But now people's attention spans are more valuable to me, and so I hate not having a plan. But we're going to do our best, I promise. It also sucks because the Monday episodes, we were talking about, the Monday episodes are the ones that you really don't want to, stay away from the damn Monday episodes. Because those are the ones where I usually just get really emotional and upset. And so Friday is when I've had the whole week to just kind of chill and hang out, relax. But I got so much damn stress in my life that I got to this week's episode. I'm like, oh my God. And the other programming note here. So my birthday is on Sunday / Father's Day. Father's Day is on Sunday. So if nothing else, make sure to wish your whoever in your life a happy Father's Day. Here's the worst thing about having a June 16th birthday. You've seen this, you heard about this. Same birthday as fucking Tupac. Yeah, I got the same fucking birthday as Tupac. Oh, okay. So that means every year I got to deal with everybody all over social media. Oh my gosh, a happy posthumous birthday to Tupac Shakur. Oh, okay. Nobody's saying happy birthday to Nick. Everybody's saying happy birthday to Tupac, but he's dead, and I'm not. So that's probably the thing that gets to me the most. I'm going to have a busy weekend. I'm going to have a lot of shit going on. So much shit going on, in fact, that Monday's episode will not be able to happen. It will not be able to happen on time. It's probably going to come out on Tuesday. There's literally nothing I can do about this. Again, in the spirit of feeling bad about stuff, that is technically out of my control, but I still feel bad for the sake of consistency or lack thereof. In this instance, I do apologize, but I don't know. Probably Tuesday, and then if for whatever reason by like Tuesday, it's Tuesday afternoon, it's not there. Okay, it's probably gonna be Wednesday. Hey, here's another thing up top. Geez, lots of housekeeping. We're doing lots of housekeeping. So, well, spring cleaning. It's June. It's the middle of June. Spring cleaning it's a little bit past that. Alrighty, folks. I don't remember what I was gonna say, so we're actually just gonna jump into today's show. Hey, so the finals. We gotta wrap this up, right? We just gotta wrap this up, because unfortunately the same thing is about to happen that just happened in the Dallas-Minnesota series, where it just went off the rails to such an extent that by the time Minnesota actually won a game, I was just kind of annoyed. Actually, it's like more inconvenience than anything. I'm like, can we actually just move this shit along and get to the finals? Even though this year the finals, I say this year, I don't think this is new. Finals were a set date this year, which was kind of annoying because we had like 9 days off in between the conference final because both series went by so damn quick. We had like 9 days off. Mavericks ended up having only like 6 or some bullshit. Oh, okay. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we don't do set dates. Maybe we just, hey, if the conference finals end early, we can bump the finals. Maybe we do that. Maybe we don't just lock in with these broadcast partners that, hey, these are the dates that we have to do. For all intents and purposes, folks, the day that this episode is coming out, Game 4 will be happening down in Dallas. By the time we come around with next week's episode, if it didn't happen on Friday, then it'll probably have happened on, Monday night's game. That Boston is probably going to wrap this shit up. Okay. So what are the stakes here? What's at stake going into these finals clinching games for the Boston Celtics? Well, banner number 18 is the first one. And we're talking about them. Okay, so the Celtics finally did it for this only the second time in the last almost 40 years, by the way. The previous 15 all happened over 50 years ago. Okay. Okay. So, okay, they finally got another one. Banner number 18. It's up. The other thing that's true, and we're gonna I guess dive headfirst in on this. We're gonna have to recognize this Boston Celtics team somewhere in like the greater pantheon of holy shit dominant teams. We're gonna have to do that. We do have to, by the way. And let's try to do it for a minute here. Let's try to the best of our abilities to do that here. The Boston Celtics, have they been world eaters? Yes. Have they literally stomped everybody from beginning to end, regular season and playoffs? They lost like 2 games, and hey, who knows? Maybe they lose 1 or 2 in the finals here. Who knows, right? But on the way to this point, as of this recording, and on their way to the finals, lost like 2 games, and both of them were like kind of sneaky, fluky as shit, and at the hands of like a scoring avalanche, like this with these 3-point disparities. That it's like, hey man, sometimes that just happens in the NBA. By the way, sometimes teams just kind of have those nights. By the way, so that happened like twice. Oh well, but they were playing teams that were, I guess, but like. Sneaky, where are we putting Kristaps Porzingis in terms of, is he like their 3rd best player? On some nights he kind of is. Some nights he's been like their 2nd best player. They were without him for a while, right? So they weren't exactly at full strength either. So whatever you want to say. So I'm just saying, and then like everybody hates them, by the way. Everybody bitches about them, which is, you're checking the right box there. If we're trying to get to A to Z on this whole, we have to recognize them as like holy shit motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Everybody hates them, which is a good indication that you are a dominant villain. And it also doesn't help that they're the Boston Celtics, by the way. That doesn't help. That does not help at all. So, okay. And everybody hated them because they made everybody in front of them look bitch made. But we said this last week. Dude, I'm just confused because everybody's upset that like Boston is just dog walking everybody in front of them. As if that's just not what we've said was going to happen the whole season. We've been saying it since at least November. At least November, and maybe we weren't quite saying it as seriously then, even into like December. Because at the time, I think a lot of us were still convinced that Embiid was about to moonwalk to an MVP, and then maybe this is the year that it happens in the playoffs for him, and he stays out all this time. It really felt like that's where we were. It's not crazy. That was only like 6 months ago, by the way, that we were like, whoa, is it about to happen with Embiid? Like, this is it. This is like he's transformed. It's finally about to happen. And then it didn't. Inexplicably, it just didn't happen. Is it inexplicable at this point with Joel Embiid that it just doesn't happen with him? Is it inexplicable? I guess by definition, what is inexplicable? Like, there isn't an explanation for it? Yeah, he just gets hurt a lot. Is that inexplicable that he gets hurt a lot? Because but that just has something to do with his body. Hey Nick, let's steer this thing back on the road. It was maybe at least by January that we were talking about Boston, just everybody in front of them laying down, and then it finally happens, and we have to reconcile with it. And just as a consensus, as a zeitgeist, we don't do that. We reject the idea that this Boston Celtics team is exactly who we thought that they were the entire time, by the way. The entire time. They proved it to us, and we said, that's not true, motherfucker. That's actually not true, Boston. We disavow this. We disavow this. And the Celtics were like, that's cool. That's cool. We're going to go win this championship. We haven't even talked about, like, so why is this happening? Like, what's going into this? Dude, we've documented it. We've covered it on this show. I think pretty extensively and pretty honestly and pretty fair. Pretty generously and gratuitously, just using, like, I guess as many adjectives as I can, towards the Celtics. If you talk about this roster, you're not just talking about 2 guys. Dallas as an example. It's easy to just talk about like the 2 guys on the team. And maybe that's not fair because right now you do got to talk about Lively. Right? There are nights you got to talk about Gafford. A lot of time you got to talk about PJ Washington. But you know what I mean? How there are levels to this. Another thing we talked about in the last episode. That we're seeing in these finals that there are true levels to this. Where if you're Boston, there are the dudes 1 through fucking 8, you could get it from for 5 minutes at any given moment. It could just happen for one of them, right? How many guys does Dallas have where that could happen, where they could like take over a game and change the course of, you know what I mean? Like how many guys? Obviously 2. I think that's really it. Because if it's Gafford or Lively, the impact of it is like 1 or 2 blocks, and then like on the opposite end, like 1 or 2 lobs. And that's really cool. I think what we said about Josh Green was like, and the extent of his is like 2 nice threes, like nicely timed threes, and then a steal, not like when your back is up against the wall, but like a really nicely timed steal. But like that's it. Outside of that, like the PJ Washington thing, I'm still fucking figuring out what's going on. What's going on? I'm seeing. I was asking Jacob, aka Rusty Buckets, about this on the shoot around the other day, and like I was trying to get a more nuanced answer out of this. And with respect to him, I remember in the moment being like, that all makes sense. I don't remember fucking anything that he said about it. But I'll just say what I said to him, and I guess what my question was. I'm seeing PJ Washington play in these games, specifically in Game 2, with more agency than I've ever seen him play with, more than any team that I've ever seen him play on, ever. Out of nowhere, by the way. We went from post-deadline in the regular season, on this program, we were like, the PJ Washington thing is, like, cool. Like, there are nights where we're like, whoa. Like, once or twice. But then all the other shit is like weird. Like he would, I don't, like fumble passes, just do weird, just dumb shit. He would just do dumb shit. You're like, I guess this is cool. I think the Gafford thing is actually working out better. I guess that Mavs fans didn't really ever agree with me on that one. I stand by it. I saw what I fucking saw. And then the playoffs come around and PJ Washington is more involved, but it's also just because he's just doing more shit. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Daniel Gafford on the other end, it's like, I mean, defensively, I don't know. It doesn't do that much, honestly, sometimes. And as we're progressing, we're at a point now where PJ Washington is like fucking initiating on off. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? So I asked, I'm like, dog, does this mean, is this working for Boston? Is if PJ Washington is touching the ball as much as he is and dribbling for as long as he is, for like 6 seconds at a time, is that Boston's shit going according to plan, or is it Dallas? Do you know what I mean? I guess when I phrase it that way, I'm asking, hey, if PJ Washington has the ball for 7 seconds, is that a good thing for Boston? Yes, Nick, that's a good fucking thing for Boston. Whoa, listen to how I got to that one. That's how we got from A to Z on that one. That one felt really good. The Celtics, man, the Celtics. It was them all along. By the way, you pull off the Scooby-Doo mask of this NBA season, it was the fucking Celtics all along. It was them all along. Now imagine this. Everything we just said and everything I'm sure we're going to, keep talking about for the next couple minutes here. Imagine somehow Dallas does this, right? And all of this just turns into the pinnacle cold takes exposed moment where I'm saying the Celtics, we got to recognize them in this greater NBA pantheon and all these guys, and then Dallas comes back and they fucking stomp the Celtics out. Almost felt like in that game, almost felt like the Kyrie game was going to happen. I've seen some people hypothesize that it did, in fact, happen. It did not. It did not. First of all, it can't happen in Dallas. The Kyrie game cannot happen in Dallas. Who would we say was I haven't really seen anything on who the game 3, like it was this person's game. I guess I got to say, for full transparency, I was really trying to avoid saying this, but just in case I did miss something, folks, I'm so sorry. I did accidentally fall asleep during this game, and once Boston ends up winning this game, I didn't even go back and watch the highlight reel because I was like, oh, okay. All right, so I don't know if I missed something, but just looking at the box score, yeah, it really is it's one of the Jays that you would say, oh, it was this game for them. But I also don't know. I argued the other day, I don't think that counts. I don't think you can have a Jalen game or a Jason game. The same way I don't think you can have a Luka game. And you're saying, well, Nick, but you can have a Kyrie game? Yeah, dude, I think that's different. I really think you can. The Kyrie game is different because there's historical precedent to it. If that didn't exist, if the previous relationship with Boston didn't exist, and that thread narratively wasn't still connected, then he wouldn't count. If then it wouldn't count. But because it does, he can be one of the stars who goes off. But again, man, this is coming out of the day of Game 4. This could be super short-lived because we need this shit to get extended. Scott Foster better check his ass in there, son. We need to send this thing back to TD Garden. Don't let these Mavs get swept. Don't let these get... Whoa, is this kind of like the... Surely somebody said this. I'm sure this has already been said by someone out there, some ball knower on Twitter or something. Is this Luka's 2007 Cavs moment where LeBron takes this team to the finals that we all look at, and we look at them in retrospect and we're like, what the fuck was going on here? But as someone who lived through it, I remember at the time being like, I don't know. Like, Mo Williams is nice. Like, everybody knows Ilgauskas, like, great. I don't know. Was Mo Williams? Did I just say Mo Williams? Who the fuck did I just say? So, Shannon Brown? Was that who I was trying to say instead? See, I don't think he was on that 07 team, actually. I think he might have been. I don't know where Shannon Brown was at the time. Shout out to Shannon Brown, though. Shout out to another Spartan dog. Hey, actually, speaking of Spartan dogs, apparently, I said Joey Hauser the other day when I should have said Sam Hauser. Just had Spartan dogs on the brain, I guess. So thank you to a lovely commenter for pointing that out to me. Whoops-a-daisies, Freudian slip. That will not happen again. So okay, the Boston Celtics eventually win the ring. I should honestly be saving a lot of this shit for after they actually fucking win, because what am I supposed to say? Okay, yeah, here's what I'm doing. All I'm doing is getting ahead of it narratively. I'm letting you know what all the talking points are going to be. Nick, dude, exactly. That's exactly what this episode is. I'm letting you know what the headlines are before they actually happen. And so that way, when the Celtics do officially win and we come back onto the show and where Hurley takes, we will have a head start verbally and narratively in the discourse on the Boston Celtics winning a championship. I mean, you have, okay, so your top two guys are what, under 27 each? Whoa. That's crazy. Can I give you my hardest zag? Zoop, zoop. My hardest zag that I possibly can. We've said a lot of nice things about the Celtics. We've said a lot of things that Celtics fans who listen to the show will be like, wow, this was a lot of nice stuff about my team that this guy said. You're welcome. Thank you. So let's mix things up for a second. My hardest zag, does winning a championship put a harder rift between the Jays? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking the fucking question. If it puts a rift between these two guys based on how the series goes. Because if we're looking at it through the lens of the first three games, and as of this recording, that is all that we have, we're seeing a Jason Tatum sans game 3 who's not shooting that well. But is affecting the game positively through other channels, through other virtues. Then you have Jaylen Brown, who's just hooping like a motherfucker. On the heels of the contract, as we've documented and chronicled on this program, as on the heels of a contract that people did not fucking like at all, to put it delicately. And then I fucking love when this shit happens. Like when Lamar Jackson sits out, does the whole song and fucking dance to get paid. And I don't remember how that holdout went, how much he actually ended up getting, if it was what he wanted more or less. I remember, but he got paid. He got the deal done. And then what happened? The motherfucker won an MVP. And lost in the AFC Championship game to the eventual Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, ever fucking heard of the guy? By the way? Oh, okay. Jaylen Brown. And I always say the contract. I should really look up what the numbers are because I don't remember what they are. And I don't want another #dead air moment where I have to cut it because I'm stupid and looking something up on my phone, right? But I just love when this story arc happens. And then that guy comes around who everybody hates the contract, and he's maybe the best player in the fucking finals. He's the best player on a championship team. And you're like, so what now? So what now? Because if you're going to pay him that money, you're like, you better win a fucking championship. What happens when that guy actually does? What then? Because what do you say then? And so you can say what you want about Boston financially moving forward. We've said plenty. I've said plenty. And it's moments like this where you look at the roster, like I think I was trying to say earlier, and then it probably jumped to something else. You look at the roster that they have, man. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, like Kristaps Porzingis, by the way. A torn rectum, torn scrotum. I don't remember what he's got going on, but that shit sounds like it hurts. Get healthy, King. Rest up. Kristaps Porzingis. It's like swinging an NBA Finals series. Folks. Did you hear that? Kristaps Porzingis. In 2024 for the Boston Celtics is a huge reason that they're about to win a championship. Imagine that. Al Horford, by the way. Finally, Al Horford getting it done. I mean, it's just a juggernaut. And with a lot, how this shit is structured, they're built for some medium to long-term success, right? It doesn't really feel like one of those teams that, 3 years from now, unless my theory is true, right? Which another thing I just kind of jumped ship on. I don't know where I would have gone off the rails, but apparently I did because I stopped talking about it at some point. Does winning a championship actually put a little stake in the, in the little chasm of the friendship of the Jays, and then this today's show, I guess, again, has been about narratives. So narratively, does that at some point, I don't know, you just wonder, these motherfuckers say they tune shit out. And, I just watch Family Guy. I just watch fucking, like, whatever, man. I don't have a family. I'm a single dude. Like, I just chill. I just hang out. They say they don't hear shit, but they all hear shit. But they all do. And eventually that gets annoying. And winning a championship puts more eyes on you than anything, puts you under a larger magnifying glass. Off-season content. There's a take in there somewhere. Let's see if we can dig it out. I have like it's like a metal detector, but it's a take detector. So I'm just kind of like, boop, 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 but I have to like, moving it around as me talking and hope maybe I can detect the take in here somewhere. Is winning a championship sneaky the worst thing that can happen to you as a fan? Because everybody you're the last thing that anybody saw, and you are the thing that everybody is the most jealous of at that current moment and until the season starts again, like 5 to 6 months later for any of the sports, right? Okay. So the entire offseason, you have that target on your back where everybody is like talking shit about you and wants to tear you down. So there's like, and you're going to say like, well, I don't give a shit about that because like I have a championship, so I don't care. Sure, you are not terminally online enough if this is not resonating with you, okay? So is it sneaky worse a little bit, even that much, not worse to win a championship, but is it like there's something in there? You get what I'm going with this? There's something here. There's something in there. Because that's what's going to happen with the Celtics, right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy here? Am I crazy to say that this is only going to turn shit up to 11? And I don't have maybe I can try to pull this up on the fly. Okay, looking at it, it's not that bad. You have Luke Cornett, unrestricted, Svi Mykhailiuk, Xavier Tillman, Sam Hauser. Or no, Sam Hauser's on a team option. There you go. That's something. Jaden Springer, also team option. O'Shea Brissett on a player option. But everybody else under contract until next year. And then like, okay, so next year, Derek White. And then Al Horford, but Al Horford's probably, Al Horford's old as shit. I sound like Mike Breen right now. Sorry, Al Horford. It's not rest in peace to you yet, I fucking guess. Ooh, Al Horford also, that nice backloaded contract. So I don't know what it is. Is this an autism thing that backloaded contracts are like my favorite thing in the world? Because it's something about the numbers that them going backwards down in descending order. I don't know what it is. Here's another. Can I ask? Is this another hashtag autism moment? That when I eat food, I have to do it in a very specific order every single time. I've had the same chicken nuggets and French fries from McDonald's every week of my life since I was like 5 years old. And every single time I've eaten that meal, the exact fucking same. I eat every single fry first before I even touch the nuggets. I would not dare touch the nuggets before eating the fries. That's insane. It like fucks up the whole meal for me. Okay? That's the same. Now, so the exceptions are sometimes if it's like a nice enough restaurant, I get like a burger or something, like there's a steak is another one too. You know, I'll mix it up a little bit then. But there are certain meals where if I don't eat it in a specific order, it ruins the whole meal. What is that, is my question. What is that? If it bothers you that I say, is it a hashtag autism moment? Just explain to me what it is. It's instead. Explain to me what it actually is. Is it a highly functioning hashtag autism moment? Highly functioning, parenthetically, at the beginning of it, and then an exclamation at the end of the parentheses. So what is that? Okay, folks. Hey, we got speaking of Xavier Tillman, actually, we got an email about this. I don't think it's worth going back and actually pulling it up because I can summarize it quickly here. It was like, we talked about Derek Lively's hairline and how he's kind of in that Derek White threshold. You're like, what the fuck's going on with you? When you run, like, your shit's a little busted, son, and you're only 20, so that sucks. But we're going to have a conversation about it. If they did Ozempic for hair, or no, that would be hair loss. But if it was, I asked the other day, I was like, what would happen if we just gave our son a shit ton of biotin? Like, what would happen if we just, like, made him hammer fucking biotin? And she was like, well, his body is producing a lot of it right now. And I was like, not enough. He needs more. I want him to have more hair. She was like, I don't think we should do that. Oh, okay. I don't think anything bad would happen, though. What was this bullshit that we said about reverse Ozempic? Or, it was something about steroids. Ozempic for muscles? Reverse Ozempic for muscles, I think is what we said, is what we were talking about. Boston Celtics is another thing that we were talking about, them winning a championship and what that would feel like. Hey, I guess it validates the Joe Mazzulla shit. After all, damn, after all this time, there's another angle. And where are we ranking Joe Mazzulla in the... I don't want to say Mount Rushmore. We'll go back to Pantheon. We'll pull Pantheon back out of the ism bag. Where do we rank him? Because what's funny is for a dude who's never won a fucking Coach of the Year, people seem to flock by the dozens, the voters at least, every year around the award cycle to like sing the praises of Eric Spoelstra, and then nobody votes for him for Coach of the Year. Just no one does. And I don't remember which writer it was that I would have been listening to say this a couple months ago at this point. They were like, I'm thinking about just starting my ballot every year with like Spoelstra number 1, like just no matter what, and then just whoever's after that. And then he just didn't put Spoelstra on his ballot. I was like, oh, okay. So say all that, just say, okay, so no matter what happens there in Miami, Spoelstra is he's just number 1 to people. Okay. So what about Joe Mazzulla now? So what about him? Because he actually just won. And I'm trying to think, if I go back in time, all the coaches. Well, but Budenholzer's won one, and people never really gave a shit about him. So I guess I don't know exactly where my point is going with this. Because, yeah, Mike Budenholzer, people have never a day in their life said anything other than like Mike Budenholzer at the peak of his powers was what? Like the 5th best coach in the league? Is the argument that he didn't need to be anything better than that? Could he have gotten away with... No, I don't think he could have. I was going to say, could Mike Budenholzer have gotten away with being like a top 11 coach? Like a top 13 coach in the league and still won for Milwaukee that year? Because he didn't... I don't remember that much shit happening. Like, the whole thing with the whole playoffs was, do we put Brook Lopez in the drop coverage? But then they kept doing it and he kept getting fucking cooked. or some bullshit. And then that was the whole thing with Mike Budenholzer, right? Was that he was super hard-headed and was like, no, I'm going to keep doing the same shit over and over and over again until it fucking works. And then by the way, they won a championship. Milwaukee did. Because that, and then people were like, yeah, Mike Budenholzer, like, cool dude, but that's it, right? Nick Nurse, I don't know, talk about a Katy Perry ass coach. There he is. I was gonna make a joke about him being hot and cold. That's why, at least the public with him. But for some reason, saying Nick Nurse is the Katy Perry of NBA head coaches, I don't know why that feels good. That feels like we're on the fairway. You know what I mean? Hell, we may have drove the green with with that one. That Nick Nurse is the Katy Perry of NBA coaches. Hey, speaking of Eric Spoelstra and Miami, okay, so you guys got upset with me. I don't know if we're venturing into apology territory here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I should use that voice while I'm wearing this hat. I don't know if we're venturing into apology territory here, ladies and gentlemen. I was doing a damn Tom Hardy in The Revenant. My girlfriend was out earlier. She was gone for like 3 hours, and so I was just sitting here with my son, and I was like, he's sitting in a little rocker, and I was just bouncing him, and I was talking to him in that Tom Hardy voice. And I'm just like rocking him, and I'm looking at him. We're like making eye contact, looking him dead in the fucking eyes. I was like, I'm telling you, we're going to lose it. This motherfucker is not even 2 months old. And I'm like monologuing in his face. I'm telling you, we're going to lose these fucking pelts. Oh, hey, you know what? Here's something that we should probably talk about. On the tail end of Monday's episode, I dropped a little nugget for you guys. We're pretty sure here on the Coping Hour in our staff room, we're pretty sure that James Borrego is darting to Cleveland. Okay, we said on this show that it's time, if you're a Pistons fan, to strike him off of the proverbial list of head coaching candidates for your franchise. I would also say the same thing to Lakers fans. Take him off the list. Because he is the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. For all intents and purposes, James Borrego will be the Cavs' next head coach. Just going to say one more time, James Borrego, Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. So now you're like, what the fuck? And a lot of you guys have clocked this, and you sent in emails, and don't worry, we are going to cover this here at the Coping Hour. We cover Here at the Coping Hour, we cover all the biggest stories, and we cover them from all angles. So this Woj Dan Hurley shit is weird. There's okay. So Woj comes out, and on the heels of Stephen A. Smith and Shams saying for like 2 weeks ish that JJ Redick sealed and signed. She's not my lover like Billie Jean, but the kid is mine. He is the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, JJ Redick. Whoa. A week ago, Woj comes out and is like, hey, actually, assholes, it's Dan Hurley. He's been the Lakers contingency plan all along, and that's who their target is. They're zeroing in on Dan Hurley as their head coach. You're like, what? Huh? So then the gears start, oh my God, so James Borrego darting to Cleveland. This leaves JJ, right? Is he coming to Detroit? Like, what? So what's going on? And then we hear, actually, Dan Hurley is turning this down. He's saying no to the Lakers. And this contract that they were going to offer, God damn it, Nick, I should have pulled that up. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. He says no, and he darts back to UConn. And we're all left with like, what the fuck was that? What just happened? What was that all about? And then you do a little bit of digging. So the story is, it allegedly goes as such, that Woj and Hurley like go back and are like family friends. They go a ways back, and like Woj did something and to help a motherfucker write a book or something and his family. And so now Woj is using his position as a professional tweeter who like controls, like pulls levers in a lot of ways. Like this is what's happening in real time is motherfuckers are pulling levers. Woj puts this word out there while in the middle of Dan Hurley looking for a contract extension after winning 2 consecutive national championships, doing his guy a favor, puts the word out there that his guy is like a potential candidate, like the front-running candidate for the Los Angeles Lakers head coaching job. And then 2-3 days later, suddenly, for no reason at all, for reasons we cannot, hey, who fucking knows, Dan Hurley actually just going to return to UConn. And the same guy whose agent put the word out there that Kentucky was looking at him. So when motherfucking Kentucky and the Lakers were asking about me, you're going to pay me something, UConn. So yeah, that was weird. That was weird. I don't know. That was weird. I don't think we can do anything about that, though. I don't think anybody can go to jail for that. Would that be funny? Would that be worth somebody going to jail for? 90 days? 90 days, like artificially, because that's like misinformation in some ways, but it's win-win-win, man. Because if you're the Lakers in that situation, dude, you get to say what? We tried. You get to say, oh, the premier head coaching candidate in college basketball in the entire landscape would be Dan Hurley. That guy thinking about making a leap to the NBA? Whoa, Lakers fans. We're really trying to get the wheels off the runway here. We're trying to get to a steady cruising altitude. We just need the right coach. How about Dan Hurley? That shit wasn't real all along, though. How does that feel if you're a Laker fan? I can't figure out how that would feel. Try to very quickly put myself in the shoes of a person whose coach, or rather of somebody who got baited into thinking. I would be pissed if I wanted Dan Hurley. If I was somebody who was like a Dan Hurley a Stan Hurley. That would piss me off a lot. But I don't think there are enough, and I always get pushback on this. I always get pushback on this. I've met Laker fans in real life, by the way, and I've said this to them. I don't believe Laker fans are real. I don't think they are real. This is one of my more... But I'm so serious. You go to a Laker game, and it's people who are fans of the spectacle, who are fans of the game as a discourse, right? As pop culture. And like you go to a Clipper game, and it's like motherfuckers who are there to watch basketball. And so it's very fun to do both. And so that's the thing that I guess I'm happy I was able to experience that, them playing in the same arena. I mean, I could have gone to both games even if they didn't play in the same arena. You know what I mean? It's way more convenient. One arena. Although, what a pain in the ass Staples Center is to fucking... what Los Angeles highways and their racket. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen? Just felt... It's always been different to me. Two fan bases. We were talking about this on the shoot-around the other day. Isn't it funny? We're not going to cover Clipped on this show. The new Hulu original about the Donald Sterling bullshit. We're not going to really cover it that much. But it is funny when you think about the way that both Laker games and Clipper games are presented as they existed in the same arena. The way that they were presented was entirely different. For the fucking Clipper games, the house lights were up. All of the lights were on. All of them. With the Laker games, the court was the only light. Everything else was off. Everything else was dimmed. It was only the court lights that you could see. It's like they have the drape that comes down when they're doing introductions. Like, it's very theatrical. It's very like Showtime. Like, it's very Hollywood, right? There's a lot of like histrionics to it. And then the Clippers, it's like just an NBA team. It's just like they just do really normal shit. They also have the best mascot in the NBA. Pound for pound, can go for anybody. People say, "Oh, Nick, that's dog shit take." Oh, you don't like Benny the Bull? Benny the Bull's whole thing, his whole deal, is like destruction of property, and that shit's a felony. And at the risk of sounding like a fucking cop, that shit's lame. I think Benny sucks. Chuck the Condor, by the way, best mascot in the league. Did I say best mascot? Best mascot in the league. Bango? Is that it, the Bucks guy? Bango. Sneaky, that dude rode past me on a moped one time when I was at Pfizer. I almost had a fucking panic attack. Because it was like I was seeing Leonardo DiCaprio, dude. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, dude, it was weird. Grown ass man, but I was probably like 24 at the time. Grown. Saw Bango, lost my mind. And I've kind of, talk about getting flack on the show. I say getting Flacco on the show. What would I even talk about with Joe Flacco? Stay with it, Nick. Stay with it. Talk about getting flack on the show. Yeah, Hooper is like fine, man. I just don't think he does enough tricks. I don't think he does enough tricks. The thing, I don't know if they do this at anything in like, I don't know if they do this in like soccer matches or like cricket matches or anything that's like not American. They really only do this in baseball. This is why I'm saying this. To my knowledge, at least. I don't know if they do it in anything else. The shit where it's like in Atlanta where it's like you have to outrun the freeze, the dude who puts on like the Green Man suit and you get like a 10-second head start and you have to run like a half mile or whatever bullshit it is. But then the dude always catches up to people. I would kick the shit out of that guy. All of them. Even now, by the way, as somebody who I've acknowledged that I'm still very youthful, but I'm at an age where I can't just start doing shit. Like if you were like, hey, let's go hoop. I'd be like, cool. And for like an hour or two before I left, I should stretch and drink water. And then when I get there, I should also stretch and like move around a little bit. Because if I don't, I'm screwed. Like I'm at least at that point, right? Hell no, man. How did we get here? Was I done saying everything that I wanted to say about the Celtics? I do want to steer back in that direction because I do think, very seriously, we'll wrap up the show with this. I really do think we should talk about this. I think we should have a conversation about like, dude, these teams who are as dominant as the Celtics were this year don't come around that often. And I think that, that by the end of the decade, at least, I think there's been an interesting conversation about how there hasn't been, how would I phrase it? Like an NBA finals with consequence that felt like the stakes were real since 2016. 3-1 year. Can I say as an aside, not to sound corny, I feel genuine privilege for being at an age for the 2016 finals where I've been like 18 that year. I think I actually turned 18 that year. Yeah. So I was like a very conscious person, and to have been alive for that series and for the rest of my life, I'll always remember. I do feel very fortunate because it's just one of those that you'll always remember. You'll always go back and reference. And I think I do remember at least a little bit from like the first one. I don't remember 2004. If I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. People, oh, a Pistons fan, you guys won in 2004, 20 years ago. Yeah, we did. I don't remember. Okay. Maybe we did. Like, hey, I wasn't there. I remember losing to the Spurs and Robert Horry in 2005 more than I remember winning in 2004. The Tayshaun block, unfortunately, means nothing to me. That part sucks. I do feel very left out on that. And then I fell out of love with the Pistons for such a long time. And then the Blake Griffin trade happened, honestly. And I was like, all right, let's get a saddle back up for this team because holy shit, Blake Griffin. You were like, what? You were like, huh? Got an email. I keep referencing emails in today's show. copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever you're listening to the show. I keep referencing emails in today's show and then just not fucking reading any of them. I guess that's just not going to happen. I guess I'm just not going to pull up your guys' emails. But somebody did send one in. Thank you for sending it in. It was like, hey, do you think the Pistons are trying to model their rebuild after the Celtics? And I was like, I don't know, because no, I say I don't know. No, unequivocally, I don't think so. Who were we saying for the last couple of years, Pistons fans? Who were we saying that they work for? Some reason, I've been chewing on this for like 2 days because I knew I wanted to bring this up ever since I read the email. And there was like for like a year or two, we kept saying that they were like the Clippers or something, but then I was like, no, it wouldn't have been the Clippers. So was it the Thunder? I don't think it was the Thunder. I don't remember who it was that we were comparing them to for a little bit. But I don't think it's the Celtics. And when you think about this, remember for the couple years with the Grizzlies, like when they were starting to get good, but we didn't know for sure that it was going to work with Ja, but like they were just drafting really, really well. And people were like, they're like, man, Memphis is just rebuilding the right way. It's like people just need to, follow that blueprint. It was like there wasn't a fucking blueprint. They just drafted really well. That was it. That was their whole gimmick. They just drafted really, really well for like 3 or 4 years. Okay. Didn't Boston just kind of do the same thing, though? And then, like, do some, like, really savvy shit, like getting looped in on the Damian Lillard trade and being like, yeah, we'll fucking take Drew Holiday. Like, we'll take Drew Holiday. Didn't they get 2 picks in the Porzingis trade? Isn't that? I don't remember how that one worked. I do apologize because it does bother me when I reference shit that I do not have firsthand. But I think it was something like that. So they just do, like, really savvy shit on the margins that, like, doesn't feel like a gamble at all. But, like, also you look at it on paper and you're like, that changes things so dramatically. Like, that just changes their trade. Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday. The Derek White thing was a couple of years ago. And you talk about the 2 dudes at the top, 2 guys under 27 years old. You're like, dude, like, so they've just already done it. Like, they've just already done it. I don't know, man. I don't know. How does it feel for me? How does it feel? Jason Tatum, NBA champion. NBA champion. Jaylen Brown, NBA champion. Jaylen Brown, by the way, finals MVP. How does that one feel? Jason Tatum, finals MVP. Jaylen Brown, finals MVP. Folks, even saying those out loud. Even saying them out loud. Don't you feel it a little bit? In your heart? You could see the future on that. You could see just those words. We saw what they did. We talked about it on the show, man. The segment that they did on Get Up. Jaylen Brown wins Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and they give him the trophy. All his teammates, head tapping him. Everybody's celebrating him. And then they zoom over to Jason Tatum, who's also doing all the same shit, by the way. Smiling, head tapping, all of it. Bells and whistles. They zoom in on him and they highlight his face and they say, is Jason Tatum going to jump off of a bridge right now in this moment? Because Jaylen Brown just won the Finals MVP. That's what they were asking. Don't let that shit be the Finals MVP. Don't let it be the Finals MVP. Because it's going to be a long summer. It's going to be a long summer. Do we know who's doing team? Here I go again, bringing some shit up. Do we know which one of them's on Team USA? Surely it's both of them. I know who's not on there. Caitlin Clark. Am I right, fellas? I don't know where that one came from. Must be the manifestation of the camo hat. Do I have anything on the WNBA? Not on the Olympics thing. I don't have any ammo for that one. I do think it's weird. I think it's a little bit weird. Let me look something up in real time. And we're going to cut to when I have the answer. Yeah, dog. Here's the take. Diana Taurasi, fucking 42 years old. Get off of Team USA. With all due respect, get the fuck off of Team USA. Give the roster spot to somebody else. I'm not saying that has to go to Kayla Clark. But that thing has... Because she has been keeping her name in that pool for so many years past when it's like, okay, don't be a fucking asshole. Like, let somebody else do it. And then she's also one of those people that is a little motherfucker, talking about some of the other women in the league in this rookie class specifically. So that's been kind of annoying. Outside of that, it is cool. The Chicago Sky, they play within eye shot. I can see the arena right now. So like all this and like, dude, it's bumping, man. People are going to these games, ladies and gentlemen, especially this guy because of Angel Reese and Cardosa, the woman from South Carolina, Brazilian woman. Actually, like, shut down Caitlyn in the Natty, actually, by the way. She was one of those. She was the one with super colorful hair. She was just like fucking Dwight Howard in the paint. Like, she was wild. What else is going on around the league? Cameron Brink. People like Cameron Brink. So here's what the season is summed up as for Cameron Brink so far. On her way to being, like, first-team all-league fits. And then gets on the court and logs 12 minutes and fouls out and grabs 3 offensive boards like that. You're like, okay. What's the most, like, ooh, here's a segment. Real time. This is coming to me in real time. This is one of those segments that yeah, let's roll the dice on it. Headlines that sound like you're an incel, but you're actually not. You're just thinking critically. It's a long headline, or it's a long name for a game show or of a topic. But stay with me for a second, okay? So headlines that make you sound like an incel, but you're actually just thinking critically. Is Caitlin Clark bad for women's basketball? Did we jump into the deep end with this thing without our floaties on? Do you know what I mean? Did we not heroify? What's the opposite of vilify? Did we make Caitlin Clark too big of a superstar for the WNBA's own damn good? You know what I mean? And we created such a polarizing figure that a league that I don't think was ready for the influx of attention that it got, just because of where people are at with like gender in our country. I don't know if maybe that's a stupid angle on it. I don't know if it is. I'm really just thinking about this on the fly. Like, I think that if we're gonna, so I don't know. And then you in turn have people, we talk about it on the show all the fucking time, man. The overcorrecting that people do for like, I disagree with your thing so much, and like, I think these things, and like, you just turn it up to 11 to show how much you disagree with that person. And then that person has to be like, no, I disagree with you this much, like this fucking much. And so people are like, oh, so Caitlin Clark is like saving women. Is Caitlin Clark having a moment for women? Not are women having a moment, just is Caitlin Clark having a, like, is Caitlin Clark on the Mount Rushmore with like, who do you guys want to put on there? Like Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, Helen Keller, and Caitlin Clark. Are those the four most important? Rosa Parks. Who's getting kicked out? Because I was also thinking Susan B. Anthony. We need to do this. We need to hammer this out. Amelia Earhart has to stay on there. Although she got lost. That's her whole deal. When you think of Amelia Earhart, you're like, oh, the woman who. You're not like, oh, the woman who. Because what did she do? She crossed the. She didn't cross the Atlantic. She did some cool shit though. Maybe she was the first one to like do an ollie in a plane or something, like while smoking a cigarette. I don't remember. I don't know. But when you think of Amelia Earhart, you don't think of the shit that she did do. You think about the shit that she didn't do, which was reach her destination. So maybe we have to kick Amelia Earhart out of this. Okay, so we'll do Rosa Parks. We'll do Harriet Tubman. Helen Keller does have to be on here because either she was a medical anomaly. And I mean that in an endearing way. I think the way I say it makes her sound like she belongs in like Alien versus Predator. but she was brilliant, or she was a great actress. And then the woman who was like interpreting for her was just like in on the take. It's a theory out there. I'm just reporting this to you folks. Same reason that I'm just asking honest questions about if Caitlin Clark is bad for basketball. But we're not talking about that anymore. We're ranking the best women in the history of... There's got to be someone in here that I'm forgetting. Surely. Who's a modern day one that I can... I feel like I'm doing the Billy Eichner Man on the Street. Name a woman. And I can't think of one. I think we nailed it. This... Doris Burke. Of course. The top of the pyramid, when you talk about it, the pantheon. Usually when we talk about the pantheon, it usually is in the shape of a pyramid. The apex of that pyramid would be Doris Burke. If this was 10 years ago, Doris Burke would still be up there, but Rachel Nichols would be up there too. And then if this was 5 years before 10 years ago, so if this was 15 years ago, Michelle Beadle, maybe that was a little too before her time. No, Michelle Beadle was, remember Sports Nation? You guys remember that show? With Colin Cowherd? Back when he was like, he wasn't all about like being a backwards hat guy. Or rather, fucking backwards hat, not fucking backward, hating backwards hat guys. Alrighty, folks. Let's get out of here. Just a reminder, Monday show, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Got a birthday on Sunday. Turning 26. I will be turning 26 years old. If you're listening to this on Spotify, don't know why I made that so somber. Be sure to rate 5 stars. If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the old algorithmo. And I will catch you guys. Set copyright in the next one.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Primary control.
Beautiful.
Primary control.
Beautiful.
Primary control.
Beautiful.